What is the most infuriating case of double standards you've come across? School always calls me the mom. Teachers always call me the mom. When I changed the primary number to my husband's number, they were confused that he picked up and asked him to verify my number for future reference. They never bother or ask or complain to my husband, only me, the mom. Does anyone have a link to the story of a guy whose child almost got kidnapped? IRC. It was a story where a man was waiting for his wife outside a store with their child in a stroller. A woman just walks up, screams that he's kidnapping her child, grabs the stroller, and calmly walks off. The man got tackled and beat by everyone there, to the point of having broken ribs, and all the while he was screaming that the baby was his and she was the kidnapper. It was only stopped because the wife came out and confronted the woman, who just calmly let go of the stroller and walked off without anyone stopping her. When the police got there, the husband was reprimanded for looking suspicious. My high school English teacher would hear something even remotely phone-like and explode, "Whose phone is that?" If no one answered right away, AHE would pace the desks, and if anyone acted suspicious, she would have them empty their pockets, bags, etc. on the desk. If there was a phone, she confiscated it. If there were any unread notifications, she would read him aloud. But, every now and again, she would do her whole explosion, then glance down and giggle and say, "Oh, it's my phone," and then text away. Also, she was a terrible English teacher. One of the regional managers goes to state prison for over a year for DWI. If you know anything about Texas DWI laws, that means he got caught multiple times. Comes out of prison, immediately transferred to corporate and made a director. Brand new employee is rear-ended in stop-go traffic on the highway. No injuries, but forced to take a drug test. Fails for weed, immediately fired. 35 years ago and it still pisses me off. I got detention in high school, no biggie. I did the crime. However, I was scheduled to work, so I asked for detention to be delayed for 1 day. Request denied. I pointed out that football players routinely had theirs rescheduled to accommodate games and practice. Only answer I got was, "That's different. In work, if I am 5 minutes late they will certainly let me know about it. But if I stay behind 15 minutes later than my finish, not even a mention." Someone posted on Reddit once, and it really made me laugh, so it stuck with me, that a woman he worked with would make fun of him and call him chicken legs and stuff, wearing shorts, so he finally called her elephant legs and got into trouble with HR. Middle-aged woman I used to work with was always complaining about her son-in-law, and one day she was complaining to me and saying how he doesn't clean her daughter's car off when it snows and that is something the man should be doing, and I responded with, "Sure. But how would you feel if he said the same thing about dishes and being something the woman should do?" She paused and then said she never thought of it that way, lol. My mom gets mad at me for being at home all the time and never going over to friends' houses and stuff. I get a girlfriend and a job, so now I'm never home and she gets pissed off about it. I went to a small Bible college where we had to sign a contract promising not to drink or have premarital sex while enrolled there. At one point a couple was caught having sex, the guy was put on some sort of light probation, of course he was still able to play on the school's basketball team, and the girl was immediately expelled. When my wife puts anything anywhere, it is the place of the thing. If I put anything anywhere, why do I not clean up after myself? A girl I dated in high school would often vent to me about her friends' boyfriends doing the same things she would do to me. For example, we'd see each other every weekend. She wanted to see me more often, but we lived 40 minutes from each other, gas was expensive, I was broke, and I had homework and extracurriculars, so I was busy during the week. She got mad and angrily told me to let her know when I cared enough to pencil her into my calendar. Not too much later, she was on the phone with me, telling me how her friend's boyfriend said the same thing to her friend and what an asshole he was for it. When I called her out, she just made up some crap about how our situation was different. Drugs. Just depends if you are rich or poor when you get caught. When I was a school nurse, I was always alone with whatever children needed assistance, even after I would ask for help. New male school nurse started, all of a sudden 3 other people are available just to watch him. I felt terrible for the guy, but literally no one trusted him with the diabetic kid or the kid with the trach alone. Oh, he can't be alone. But me, a woman, was never questioned. Double standards abound. Most male bathrooms don't have baby changing stations. I've heard many stories about men getting judged, shamed, bullied and abused for going into unisex parent rooms to change their kid. As if they aren't allowed to provide a basic need for their child in a space meant for both men and women. You say, peacock, and nobody bats an eye. But you say, poopcock, and everyone loses their minds. Me and a classmate wrote the same answer with different wordings in a test. My classmate got the answer marked wrong. Luckily, because I am her favorite, I don't enjoy it, I was able to negotiate with her and she changed the mark. Although it's still infuriating that it actually happened in the first place, and yes, she didn't like him at the time. My brother can stay overnight at his girlfriend's house for a week, but when I hang out at my boyfriend's house the whole day for 3 days straight, he works far away and he rarely comes home, my mom gets super mad. I don't even attempt to stay overnight. Obviously, I'm a girl. Edit. He's older and we're in our mid to late 20s in long-term relationships. I know it's weird to some people that we still live with our parents, but this arrangement is actually the norm in our country. Teachers having sex with their student. Male teachers, statutory rape. Female teachers, a relationship or an affair. We had a really expensive camping trip in middle school. Get to this place and the girls' rooms are in camp. Thick clay walls, fridges, plugs. Totally fucking decked out. The boys' cabins, a 15-minute walk away from the main place, and right next to a dam. The walls were cardboard and the place had more holes than a block of Swiss cheese. I still feel robbed. If there's any issue big or small at daycare or school, they call the mom first. When I was about 16, my dad, a Baptist missionary pastor, once preached a 2-hour sermon on the perils of pornography, and how absolutely evil it was, gotta save yourself for marriage, etc. He had also beaten the shit out of me for catching me with porn a couple months prior. That same night when we got home from church, he asked me to bring him his phone that he'd left in the car. I opened it to find months of daily porn watching in his internet history LMAO. When we bought our house, my wife set up all the utilities. I'm on the spectrum, I really hate dealing with that stuff, bills, money. I go to work and earn the money, she does the budgeting and makes sure everything gets paid. It's crazy to me how often a company will have to have me get on the phone to make a change or whatever on an account that she set up. I'm the husband, so I must be in charge of the finances. Got written up for wearing nice shorts to work. In an IT position. No customer-facing roles at all. My female manager and all other women in the company were permitted to wear any type of dress or skirt. My manager always wore her athletic skirt she worked out in. It was less than knee length. Fuck you, Black Hills Energy. A couple of popular girls from my school used to heavily bully unpopular boys from the same school. They'd message them as if they were interested in making out and arrange to meet. Then, they'd beat the shit out of the poor boy and pole him, meaning 4 girls would grab the boy by his limbs, open his legs and run him into a pole. They were 18 years old at the time and typically did this to younger boys, around 16. Imagine the gender roles were reversed here. Had an opportunity to go to Montreal on a work trip. It was supposed to be a reward for those employees who had just finished a major project. My boss calls me into her office and tells me she knows I played the biggest role in the project on the team, but that she's sending our female summer student, who hardly touched the project, instead because we needed to show company diversity at the conference and there were too many males going. I can't get a doctor to sterilize me, although I've been repeatedly requesting it for over a decade now. My ex went into his doctor once and got it done the same week. Edit. Thanks to all kind responses. I'm Dutch, so it's different here from the States. We don't have lists of doctors who do these procedures willingly, as no doctor would want to be on that list here. I'm going to try again at the end of this year. I'm not on birth control at the moment and I hope that'll kind of force their hand a bit more. I've also done plenty of research and have a long list of reasons written out. As I'm over 30 now, I hope to have at least a shot. When I passed my driving test, I had about 3 years no claims bonus with motorbikes that no insurer would let me use for a car. I guess it makes some amount of sense because they're different vehicles of different sizes with different risks. What makes absolutely no sense is how having my motorbike stolen should negatively impact my premiums for car insurance when the difference in stealing a bike versus a car is vastly different and I was living at a completely different address in another city. Yet I'm still forced to pay increased premiums for 5 years. If having a bike stolen is relevant to increasing car insurance premiums, how is riding one safely for 3 years not relevant to reducing them? Insurance is a fucking racket. I can't believe you waste your time playing video games. Proceeds to binge 8 hours of Netflix. My old friend's mom flipped out at me whenever I swore. Even something like, damn, or, ass. Meanwhile, because it was her house, she said fuck and shit probably 1,000 times a day. A teacher at my old school used to almost shout at a boy for asking a question. And when a boy talked during class, she sent him to the principal. And then some girls start shouting and she asks them, "What is going on, honey? Do you need some help?" In Sweden we had a male celebrity get arrested for having sex with a prostitute. There was massive outrage and he got cancelled very hard, losing all his business etc. A couple of months later there are a number of female influencers advertising about a clinic where they get some sort of sex treatment, and the description is something like, "It was amazing. I was squirting so hard and had so many orgasms." This sparked a very short-lived debate about whether or not this was also prostitution. Pretty funny considering the feminists in Sweden consider all prostitution to be rape. But in this case it seems to be something beautiful and wholesome. Edit. Here's an article about it. Someone at work had a crush on me because he thinks I'm pretty. Everyone is supportive of him and they even encourage him to court me. When I told him I didn't like him because he's not that attractive, they got upset with me. They're telling me to give him a chance and that I should not decide on liking someone based on looks. How come I was the only one getting the heat when both of our feelings are just based on each other's looks? Woman shrugging. Couldn't get my tubes tied without my husband's consent. Meanwhile he had a vasectomy without even my knowledge. High school dress code. A girl can sleep with dozens of guys in a year and she's a slut. But I go out and do the same thing and all of a sudden I'm gay. When a mom takes her kids to the park, nobody cares. When a dad takes his kids to the park, everyone stares and asks the kids where their mom is or if they are safe. Makes me angry. When I worked for a supermarket in the UK that rhymes with Waitrose, I bleached my hair. I'm a man. They ordered me to cut it all off, then changed my shift to be an outdoor trolley collector. And I had to wear a hat. The person who told me to do this had bleached blonde hair. They were not a man. When my dad lit up cigarette number 2 of 3 during a 20-minute talk about the dangers of smoking and how he'd kick my butt if I ever started. Meanwhile, I had asthma and chronic bronchitis from all the second-hand smoke in the house. Some stupid dude slaps a woman's butt in a bar. Rightfully she turns around and slaps his face. People notice and HES thrown out. Now let's switch it up, shall we? Woman slaps a guy's butt in a bar. He turns around, slaps her face and is not only thrown out but has charges pressed against him. Fuck that. Be it sexual assault or just plain violence, the idea that it is worse if the victim is a woman is just beyond stupid. But men have a physical advantage so. If I attack a dude twice my size and get my ass handed to me, no one presses charges against him just because he's stronger than me. Conversely, me being assaulted by someone bigger than me doesn't make the assault worse in the face of the law. Think, God damn it. Daughter's basketball team needing to plead with the boys who took all the balls at halftime and wouldn't let them warm up. No chance that would happen the other way around. Spoke to coach and he was indifferent. Fucking ridiculous. The post above me was literally a dude asking for advice thinking he cheated on his GF. When he was drugged at a party and some woman raped him on the bed, he tried to take a nap in while he was too drugged and drunk to resist. The double standard in rape victims holds very well even today, and men have a hard time swing justice by the legal system, even for severe cases. Objectifying celebrities. I don't know if he cares, but anytime I see Henry Cavill on a talk show or interview and they start objectifying him, I cringe significant other fucking hard. The youth minister at the church I attended told my girlfriend's parents that I did drugs and that she should break up with me. Which she did. It really made buying drugs from that guy awkward. My wife can be out with the kids at parks or shopping and no one bats an eye. When I do, I get death glares from hell. My wife can correct another kid's mean behavior and no one cares. When I do, I have to chill out because it's not my kid. Also, dads spending time with their kids is called parenting, not babysitting. Male RPE is played for laughs in comedy. The good old, classic, women hitting men. I was the youngest child, only boy in the family, growing up, and my sister would physically harass me, normal sibling stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I used to go to my mom crying about my sister hitting me or physically harassing me. She's older and bigger than me. My mom instead would yell at both of us to stop hitting each other, you two. Or knock it off. When I am the victim. I caught on, so I took matters into my own hand and defended myself. I'd get my ass tore up from the floor up. Were the ass whoopings worth it? Any day of the week. Even though I was younger and was physically smaller, I'd suffer consequences due to the fact I'm a boy. I saw a post somewhere on Instagram about the double standard that anti-abortion protesters have when they need to get abortions themselves. There were multiple stories written by abortion providers of well-known and recognized picketers coming into clinics to get their own abortion and still being rude to staff and making comments about how other women who were there to also receive abortions too were irresponsible and sexual deviants. The cognitive dissonance they used to justify their own abortions but still exclaim that everybody else's are wrong and should not be allowed was baffling to me. The men that get hate for pointing out double standards in this thread.